So all that led to a film called Killing Me Softly with the Songs.
I'm Danielle Forte with Pop Culture Planet. I'd love to talk about your film, 100 Voices, A Journey Home, which featured Charles. What was it about Charles that made you want to focus a documentary on his entire life?
When Charlie and we had worked together after 100 Voices. I did a movie for HBO called The Bronx, USA, and Charlie wrote a song with Paul Williams for it called The Bronx. And we were just really good friends. And he told me he was going to go to Cuba to do these performances over there with a Cuban all-star band. And I said, wow, that might be really a good idea for a movie, or at least just the start of a movie. And I said, would you mind if I did that? And he was cool with it. So we went down to Cuba and we filmed all that, and then came back and realized, there's so much more story that we want to tell. And then that led to going to Paris, going to New York, and really fleshed out his whole life.
Yeah. Well, and going off of that, what was the most important aspect of his life and legacy that you really wanted to hone in on the film?
His relationship with Nadia Boulanger.
She influenced me to this day. She was 72 years old when I was 18. I went there for the summer to this conservatory, and she asked me to come out to Paris and continue studying with her. She was Aaron Copland's teacher 40 years before me, and she taught generations of composers from around the world. And I like to say she gave me a life in music. I mean, I had studied music before that. I was 18 when I went to Paris. I studied composition and orchestration and played piano, of course, for years. But it became my life's work when I was with her. Her name is very much alive in the world of music. She's literally regarded as the most important teacher of the whole 20th century. I had the great pleasure and the great luck to be close to her for all that time.
It's a beautiful story of a kid from the Bronx with very limited means ends up in Paris with the opportunity to study at the conservatory and then to be able to be a student of Nadia Boulanger. That in and of itself is just so amazing, and how this influence that she gave him or influenced him stayed with him to this day. That
Yeah.
she's still a presence in his life, his musical life, as well as in our film.
And what was your relationship with his music, before you even met him? Were you a big fan of his and
Oh my
his
God,
films?
the soundtrack of my life. As a kid, I remember distinctly "Killing Me Softly," and "I Got a Name" was always a favorite song. I was a big Jim Croce fan, and then of course the TV shows, because I'm a TV geek. Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley, Love American Style, Wide World of Sports. I mean, all of that. So, even before I knew Charlie, I knew Charlie.
I've been really fortunate in my life, and I've had songs that have played around the world and sung in different languages, and it's a great thrill that no matter where I am traveling, I have my music in the world. And you don't forget that, but it also makes you think, if I'm going to write something, I want to write something that has that ability
Mhm.
to be appreciated. I mean, you always want to do something that becomes a hit or popular. But
Yeah.
I think about that, writing so that it can stay around, so that people can think about it years later and maybe take it into songs have very personal meaning for people.
Charles has an extensive background within composing, obviously. So as a director, how did you decide what areas of his life you wanted to cover? I mean, he has such a huge career.
Took the main pillars, where he's from and where he studied, and some of the major achievements he did, but it was really in service of a story about music and about his relationship with music. So while it's not like every project he's ever done, we thematically wanted to talk about, his love affair with music, what it brought to him, what he brought to it, and his collaborations and friendships.